Hi, it's Nathan from Geometry Gym here, and today I just want to go through some of the enhancements we've recently made to the SAP2000 structural analysis plugin, which allows you to automate the generation of stage construction stages as well as operations for loading, object adding, and object removal within those stages. Basically, to do something simple for just a stage construction, where you might want to add loads, add props, and remove props during a stage construction sequence, similar to this example that I show here. So, if you're familiar with stage construction in SAP 2000. Setting up stages and also operations within those stages, groups, temporary props, is quite time-consuming process, as well as adding your load patterns and scaling factors at each stage. So hopefully what I will show you can start to help you automate this stuff, as well as give you the ability to do different options to, I guess, find an optimal staged solution. So if I go into Grasshopper now, you'll notice in the SAP, under the SAP plugin, there's now a load case non-linear staged construction case which can be created. There's also a couple of other components that are available under the SAP attributes tab, such as create stage, operation add, create stage operation change frame property, create stage operation remove, and operation load. So these allow you to start to generate operations within Grasshopper. Under the SAP element tab, there's now a SAP create stage. And what this allows you to do is start to create your construction stages. So I've got a quick script which I'll run through here quickly today and sort of show you how you can start to generate this stage construction loading. Okay, so I've got a really simple script here which basically creates a rectangular frame. Obviously in Grasshopper these values and variables can be changed to update the size of the frame or whatever. I've got a number slider here which can also obviously change the amount of levels I want and the height between those levels. But you know, typically for a building you might have special construction loading, or you might have a temporary stage where the slab may not be poured, and you might be relying on that slab for beam strength or whatever, and you'll need to employ temporary props over a certain number of levels. So that's what we're going to try and replicate here today. So building this script is pretty similar for building any other structural analysis script or using the GeometryGym components. We build up our frame properties for each. In this instance, I've got a special frame property for my temporary props. And to generate these temporary props, I've basically set up a number slider which divides a curve a number of times between the primary column points at the corners. And later I'll quickly show you how we can actually start to test different sequencing examples on here. So I've defined support conditions, so everything you would generally do when generating a structural analysis model. But I want to concentrate on the staging components to this script here, which is the thing of this video. So basically what I want to do now is, once I have created my frames, so my external edge beams and my columns and my floors, you can see that I have branching at every level. So I've got my column elements at every level. So I've got 4 columns at every level, and each branch represents a floor level. What I can do is merge all those elements. So the slabs, the columns, and the floor beams are on one tree branch. And then I can create a group, I can create a structural group in SAP of each of those to use for my stage construction. I have a little thing here where you can start to visualize what these are, so you can start to look at how your staging may be completed within SAP. So once I have those groups, I can start to use those groups to generate stage operations. So each of the operations will occur at a specified stage, and the branching I'm trying to use here will be similar to the branching that I'll finally use in my create stage component. So this one here adds an object. So it performs a stage operation to add a series of objects. Typically in SAP, you'll provide or you'll generate a specific operation to add the objects, and then you'll have to provide a separate operation for every load pattern and those scale factors you want within, I guess, that stage. This component here can basically automate that operation for you, so it can add the objects and then create each load pattern operation for you as well. So you can see here that there's 3 operations that are coming out, and that represents the add object operation as well as the load objects operations, which are associated with each of those operations. The next 2 operations are to do with my temporary props. So you can see here I've created another group which encapsulates the temporary props at each level. Now, what I want to do here is do a bit of tree manipulation, because obviously as the first level is constructed, I want the first temporary prop constructed in that, but then once I get to the 4th floor or whatever stage shift operation I want the lower level props to start to be removed. Also at the end, I want to create a separate stage that allows for the removal of all props at once there. So I need to do a little bit of Grasshopper magic here and a script which basically allows me to do this. So I can change this stage shift to whatever I want, depending on how many levels I want the props to be installed at. I also need to add an additional path to this here to generate that last stage where no objects are going to be added and only objects are going to be removed. Okay, so the last part to this is to merge the stage operations for the adding of the objects and also the temporary props. Something I didn't probably mention at the start was each branch is going to relate to one of the stages in the stage construction. So you can see with the adding of the objects, there's only 6 branches. But with the removal of the objects, there's 7 branches. Now this basically means because we've added that additional branch for the removal of the objects at the end, it will need to have that additional stage. But when I merge all these, obviously Grasshopper merges all those operations, and I'll get the number of branches that I want. Lastly, I can use that create stage component. Now you don't have to. I've used one component, but you could use 2 or 3 components to do multiple stages, or however you set up your script. And I'm also using my tree structure to generate my staging names and my stage IDs, so I can get those in the order I want. You can see the stages being generated here. And then all I need to do is link those stages up with my SAP load case non-linear staged. So from there I can double click to bake the SAP model. And now I have my model in SAP, and I'll just quickly change it to extrude. And then I can see basically all my elements there. If I go up to the load cases, I can start to see and click on my stage construction load case. I can see that it's added all these stages as well as the operations to do with each stage. Then I simply need to run this stage load case. I need to save it, obviously. And then I have my deformed shape. Now there are a couple of different results saved options that you can specify in Grasshopper, such as end of final stage, end of each stage. It just depends on what results you're after. And then you can start to obviously start to look at your different stages, and as you go. So you may want to start to look at testing a couple of different options. So my deflections may be too high, so I want to have a look at doing 2 props rather than 1. And I also might want to decrease my stage shift to see whether it's possible to only have 2 floors propped at once. So I can change those 2 options. It automatically updates. I can rebake. Now I've got 2 props instead of 1, and if I go and run that analysis again, I can start to look at how that affects my structure during that staged analysis. So I hope that gives you some insight into what you can start to achieve with automating stage analysis in SAP. We do also have this ability in GSA as well as Strand to some degree. Test it out. If there's any other good suggestions or what you'd like to see from this type of analysis, then we're always happy to help and work with you guys to develop these things further. So thanks a lot for listening.